joining us today, guys. Today we have Theo. Theo is a freshman here at the fort. He's studying psychology. Comes from Boulder, Colorado. He's been involved with the spoken word and open mic scene there, which is very thriving, very prosperous there. So I'm sure he has some good stuff for us to say. We're going to give him about 20 minutes.
I go first?
It's all you, yeah.
Alright. Alright. Well, my brother got me into hip hop because he would always listen to it in the household, and I just fell in love with like DJ Premier and Pac and Biggie and like Wu-Tang, KRS-One, all of them. I don't know. You already know.
Yeah, those are the greats.
Yeah, good. And then recently I started writing, and yeah, I've gotten a little better, I think. You want to hear some shit?
Why not?
Yeah.
Spit a quick 16 or something.
Oh, yeah,
Or half a 16. I don't know, something.
I don't know. I'm gonna just spit this first one, but I don't want the speaker to be too loud so you can't hear me. What up? Good. How you doing? Good. Good. Alright. Can you hear my voice?
Yeah, you good?
Can you hear the tune?
Yeah.
Everyone makes mistakes, it's okay. Try to learn from it every way you can. So every day you advance your own path. You have to understand to make your own path. The way I rap is like math. You're not an MC if you don't add a message and poetry. Subtract the lies and meaningless words, or you'll get kicked to the curb. Soon you will learn my flow is like a germ. It's all changing in front of your face.
Hey. Alright.
Yeah, alright. That's right. That's what's up.
Hey, still got quite a bit of time. I don't know what else to talk about, honestly. Yeah, I like to talk about a lot of political stuff, I guess.
Yep.
And yeah.
Ooh.
Good. Yeah.
I tend to try to use my art for like uplifting people, but
Yes.
sometimes theory and practice doesn't align, and I kind of sometimes rhyme about some dark shit. But
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, that's good.
but want to hear another one?
Yes.
All right,
Yeah, why not?
all right. Cause I fucked that one up. It went on for longer, but so hard. To keep my breath and shit. Woo.
That can be right.
Yeah.
Mortal technique on the streets. Alright, here we go. This one's called War of the Poor. 18 years old, drafted and flown over to a war zone. Forced to go when the alarm blows. But this soldier just wants to go home. He hates looking down the scope, aiming high when he's told to unload. Running down a muddy road, he flinches every time something explodes. How many bodies have turned cold, only to make a few men's pockets even more swole, making the banks even more full, at the expense of hearts being forever broke and souls being forever stole. World peace is humanity's main goal. That's why I take my chances, rolling the dice, because even though everything here is nice, there are people in the world fighting for their life. So I've chosen to speak up for our rights, and I understand my life could be the price. Although some things it's unwise, I can't help through seeing through all of the lies. I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees. I'm optimistic that someday we will succeed, that the system which makes us believe in greed will change, and humans will stop cutting down so many trees. In ourselves we must plant new seeds, one that grows fruits of generosity. I just want to set humans free, Can't you see? They want people like me to seem guilty, but that's not how I plead. In reality, love is what drives and motivates me to be the best I can be. And some might say my thoughts are wrong, but I just let them know the struggle goes on. Woo.
Yeah.
You want me to keep going?
Yeah, you did.
Alright. This one's called Pain. The US dropped bombs on Vietnam a long time ago, but people today still feeling the effects. Born with birth defects from Agent Orange, mutated faces haunts this nation. Native Americans were displaced, massacred and raped. Blacks stolen from Africa, packed from front to back on slave ships, chained together by the ankles. Branded white man's property, separated from their families. When I say these things, don't get mad at me, because it's a reality of our history. Kings and queens ruling countries, able to occupy foreign lands with their evil plans, stealing diamonds and gold from broken and bruised hands. Time for workers to take a stand, take back the land. We have nothing to lose with our chains and an entire earth to gain. They will try to make you a modern day slave, but I keep my head up and be brave, not letting the system manipulate my brain. Only trust facts and evidence, everything else is irrelevant. Maybe someday you'll accept what I have to say, if you realize that your media lies. They tryna hide genocide, and that they tried to kill Castro hundreds of times. Poison cyanide in his cigars, the CIA murdered Che Guevara.
Nice, man.
Okay. Yeah. You said the media lies and trying to hide genocide?
Right?
Talking about that real shit. That's what's called revolution. Put your fist in the sky. Can't see Screaming fucking enslavement. Bet they wanna see my brains stained on the pavement, but they can't tame the way that I spit. I got government agents locked in my basement. Is this not entertainment? I see gains by being patient, waiting on the day of payment. Revolution, the only solution for all of this pollution. I'm choosing to fight till we win. Even if I die, you will too soon swim with the fish. Probably on a Secret Service's hit list. They want you to think it's all about getting rich. Yes. Fuck. Alright. Evolution. Yeah. Evolution. You know we used to be apes, but now we're humans. Rise up before the earth is ruined, cause the rich taking the planet for granted. God damn it, listen, what I'm spitting will give you intuition. I don't have a religion, it's called atheism. I use activism to attack the system from within, cause they locking generations of children in prisons. Yeah, look at those mansions, then look at the conditions you live in. War and starvation for greedy corporations, even water contamination, like Flint, Michigan. Yeah, fracking, I can feel the vibrations. Shh. I can hear the masses begin to awaken. Companies, please stop burning down trees to raise McDonald's meat. It's getting hard to breathe. Watch what you eat, you can go deceased. From east to west, west to east. Rest in peace to the families who died in the streets of poverty, the alleys of misery.
That was dope.
Watch the crowd.
I'll be back. I'll stop the show.
guys like Big L? Yeah? His punchlines, though. I'll steal some of his shit right in the beginning. In a street brawl, I strike men quicker than lightning. You saw what happened in my last fight, friend? I then, it was frightening. I got my paper and pen, and I'm writing again. Hard to tell who's a true friend. Big L, Tupac, Big Pop, why'd they have to get shot? The police didn't even investigate the cases. I guess to them it was just a couple more black faces. The system creates racists. All lives matter when they making your blood splatter. It doesn't matter whether you're skinny or fat, Asian or black, the facts remain the same. They exploit us all like slaves. It's time for change, time to gain. Wisdom is more powerful than ignorance. When they handing out guns like cigarettes, what did you expect? The environment not to be violent. 5-0 harassing suspects. Don't go around showing disrespect, cause even a bulletproof vest can't protect your neck. You shouldn't have slept, that's the cousin of death. Now you look like a mess. Alright, this is the last one. Check out my shirt.
Not too bad.
All eyes on me. Tupacalypse don't sleep. Yeah, boy. Yeah. Rain plunges down from the clouds. I wish you were still here right now, clowning around with the underground. Hear a dead man's voice in my head. No one knows my struggle, they only see the trouble. Not knowing it's hard to carry on when no one loves you. If you were still here, I would join your hustle for better days. Hey, but I was born a little too late. Wish I could have seen a different, you could have seen a different fate. After dark nights, there's a brighter day. I feel rappers today have lost their way, abandoned the passion. I know you're chilling in Thug's mansion. Machiavelli, I listen to you plenty past the Hennessy. The police looking like the military. It's very scary. No, you've heard this. No, you heard this before. They got money for wars but can't feed the poor. Working classes are sore. Got us doing chores for capitalist pigs. Put your fists in the sky if you're down with this. Time to take some risks. Yo, time for y'all to go in.
I know it's gonna be a rap cycle.
Yeah, right. It's exciting.
I've never done a Skype cycle.
Let's do it. Yo, somebody starting off.
Right. Get a hype right here on Skype. No.
Yeah.
Also hard. Other people want to listen to the scholar, knowledge of the scholar. You'll tell them how high. It's the Skype in the morning, the cipher. So, hey, you all are you at Fort Lewis?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you all study hip hop there, or just like a group of people, or what? What's this like? What's it like there? Tell me about that
Lonely
place.
as fuck.
It's a collective interest. And they can real.
Nobody does this shit anymore.
Yeah, right.
Oh, word.
Especially where I'm from, Boulder, and here I feel like the movement's just too small.
It's worldwide though. You connected, right? It's worldwide, man. Your rhymes is connecting you.
I want to record.
The global phenomenon.
Yes.
Yo, the flap of a butterfly's wings can cause an earthquake on the other side of the world.
That's what they say.
I doubt that's true though.
Butterfly effect.
The butterfly effect, yeah.
The butterfly.
Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. My rhymes are like Muhammad Ali.
Rest in peace, Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, he died
Rest
recently.
in power. Rest in power, man.
The greatest. I thought it was a champ.
Yeah. So what other kind of stuff y'all get into out there? Like you said you were just doing a protest for Standing Run?
Back in Boulder, I was tagging some shit, and the police fucking rolled up on me all fast with my homies, pointing their guns at me, told me to get on the ground. I had to fucking get cuffed, sitting there for a mad long time, and then they gave me a ticket. She was like,
Hey, man.
"You guys spray paint at all?"
Yes.
I did a hip hop summer camp with some kids, and we had a writer come in and work with the kids, and that was cool to see. But I've never got super into it myself.
Yeah.
Sick.
You gonna keep going or do you want to switch over?
How long has it been?
You got 5 minutes.
5 minutes?
Yeah.
5 minutes to be exquisite. I'm done.
Alrighty.
So what are some of your aspirations for the future? What's your vision for, like, where you're trying to go?
I am trying to influence people to realize that we need to change the system.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
If you guys want to do a Q&A, we're going to have a little time at the end. So we can ask all you guys, if you want to get in and have like a big discussion, we can totally get down with that. I think that's what Anthony wants us to do.
Okay. Wait, who's
Cool,
asking
cool.
the questions?
I know. You can ask them questions.
Well, that's what we're doing right now. Basically, that's what a conversation
Alright,
is.
we can do it first.
Alright.
What?
Cool.
I don't know.
yeah. So, I'm just curious to learn more about what type of work y'all are doing on campus. Like you said, you did the protest with
So
Standing
far,
Rock. Are there any other?
that's pretty much all I've done.
Like,
You've done some
you done
stuff
some-
for...
No, I mean that's awesome. That's great.
And this.
You've done some stuff for Black Lives Matter. We did
Really?
a good bit of protesting last year with
Oh, last year I was in.
yeah. Anthony actually started a class last summer. It was called The Cultures of Hip Hop and Punk, and we went through and we did all of that, like how it sociologically matters and whatnot.
Yes.
And we threw on a couple of hip hop shows actually, and we got that
Mhm.
going. That was real fun.
Like,
Yeah, it's new, but it's sprouting and it's kind of promising what's going on here.
Yes.
There's some good people
That's
out from
awesome.
LA, and it was a good old show. We were working with the La Plata Youth Services. It's a little, it's an organization, a nonprofit here in Durango, and it's for kids of color and those who are discriminated against. And we threw a big block party on for them, and they had a ball. It was a good time
Yeah.
too. So just,
What have you guys been doing in your communities?
Man,
crazy. Yeah, you can go first.
Where are you guys from? Where are you guys right now?
I'm in Minneapolis right now. North
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Okay. Johnny?
yeah, I'm up in Spokane, Washington,
Washington.
right now. I mean, academia moves me around. So I'm actually a child of Detroit and a teacher from Detroit and a professor at Washington State University now. So that's kind of moved me up to Spokane.
Sweet.
did you guys
Spent a lot
have,
of time in Washington. My girlfriend used to live out there.
Okay.
Mostly the Tacoma, Seattle area. but
Right,
it's
right.
Too, so,
Okay, yeah.
yeah, it's gorgeous out there.
It is, man. It's different. It's like I still always feel like I'm at like a summer camp. It's like,
Yes.
yeah,
Love the
it's-
mountains. Gotta love the mountains.
yes. Y'all got the mountains there in Fort Lewis too, don't you?
oh yeah.
Back
Oh
in
yeah,
Yeah.
big mountains.
Yeah, it's starting to snow and shit too. It's getting real cold.
Yeah.
So that's another.
Okay.
Ooh.
Joe, you wanna go on, give your little talk, or you guys wanna keep talking, have the discussion? What do you guys wanna do?
I'm open.
What's
I'm
up,
open to
whatever?
whatever. Yeah.
You have
You guys have something in
seen.
particular you wanna talk about, or?
Let's talk about it all.
Yeah, I know. Like where my work also intersects like with doing stuff with Anthony is we've done a project called Poetry Behind the Walls,
Mhm.
I'm sure you may have, I'm not sure if you've heard of it or not, but it's a series of poetry books where we get work from youth who've been incarcerated, artwork, writings, and just giving space to that. Because a lot of times it's you know, they're very stigmatized. Like people don't give them their humanity, don't give them the space to express their voices. And so just you know, putting the spotlight on that. We just had a show here in Minneapolis a couple months ago, hip hop show, kind of celebrating the release of our latest publication. And so I haven't always been part of the project, maybe around a year now, but this is like the eighth book that we just published.
Damn.
Yeah, so just working with youth through the entire process, going to detention centers, and just doing writing workshops with them, playing games with them, building community, and just allowing them the space to write where they wouldn't otherwise be able to express some of the things they're expressing, and then you know, publishing it and sharing it with the world, hopefully changing some perspectives, and you know. So that's one of the major projects I've been involved with Anthony, and then I do a lot of stuff through spoken word. I perform a lot. I have a band, a Poetic Diaspora. We tour, we gig right here. Our music is just really centered on celebrating sacred humanity, just telling stories of struggle and resilience, and trying to educate people, but also encourage them, uplift them, and just hopefully catalyze some action as well through that. So, yeah, I don't know. I do a lot of stuff though. Whenever I see the opportunity to share, you know, my gifts alongside other people, that's what I try to do. So, yeah.
Sweet.
That's awesome. I love how you said it. They characterize it as sacred humanity.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Sure.
That's what's up.
I
Yeah,
like how
man.
you.
Hey, what's the name of your group again?
It's called the Poetic Diaspora. So
Yes.
it's the Poetic POETIC, the Diaspora.
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, if you go to joedavispoetry.com,
Mm-hmm.
that's my website, and under projects, you can learn more about all the stuff that I'm involved in. But my band has a tab under there, so you can check us out.
Yes, good.
Yeah.
How do you reach out to the kids? Like, how do you get a hold of them when they're back there in prison?
Well, we reach out to the detention centers, and we, it's a phone conversation, tell them about what the program is, and say, hey, would you be interested in this? We can set up, weekly or monthly workshops, and you have to go through a background check, and sometimes that can be like a long process. We have volunteers who come in and fill out all the necessary paperwork, get all the necessary background checks, and then once you get that, though, you're good. You can go in there and kick it with the kids, man. Mm-hmm.
Very cool. And how do the kids receive it? How do they feel after being able to voice themselves and talk about the things that they usually have not been able to prior?
It's incredible to see them just come alive. It's like not a lot of people visit them. Like their own families don't even visit sometimes, and it's tough. So when you're giving that time and energy, investing in them, the results are amazing.
Very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what kind of stuff you into, Johnny. I know, is this my time? Do we ever take
I feel like we're just kind of a hodgepodge at this point. We
yeah,
just talk about ourselves and
popcorn.
yeah.
I mean, it sounds like, well, I'll start primarily, like I said, I don't identify as an artist, scholar, but more like these days a scholar artist, and I came up, hey, is my Skype cutting in and out?
A little bit. Your voice is good though.
Okay, cool. I never know, man. I got that hood internet connection. It's
Yeah.
but anyways, no. So I work in a college of education now, cultural studies and social thought. And as I said before, I'm a child of Detroit and of the artist activist community there, and those two things are really like interwoven. And raised in that, and then a teacher in that. There were multiple different perspectives on what it meant to be, a teacher or a leader or organizer in the community. and I kind of transversed some of those. So some was like out in the community, and others were in my school community as a teacher, as a student, then a teacher, and then others were in academia, which academia, I tell you, is the least conducive to eliminating, like oppression, really. It's an institution of itself, and so that's space to work in. I started talking about creating cracks in that, where we can start to interrupt whose knowledge has a say in how we learn. Because you know the common texts that we learn from in literature and different things tends to tell a particular story, and it's not necessarily that lived resistance wisdom that we learn in our diverse communities, especially in communities that work to eliminate struggle. And so in Detroit, I was raised in activism and artistry together, and so you hone your craft. And then as I got older, I started to realize that was actually, framed in by hip hop as a way of life, even when it wasn't necessarily like the hip hop of pop culture. It was actually a form of resistance wisdom passed on intergenerationally amongst activists, that there was a particular way, and you have the hip hop and punk cultures. I think this exists in many different forms of art, but it extends beyond that actual product of art, right? And it's woven into the DNA of resistance movements. And so as I became a teacher, I flipped my classroom. I came into teaching like, hey, people were saying, hey, you gotta do hip hop pedagogies. And what they meant was, you gotta go, okay, kids, we're gonna listen to some Mos Def. And look at the lyrics, and we're gonna learn about, and you're gonna teach. It's typically, oftentimes I'm picking out like a white or a white posing teacher, representing that body of knowledge, coming into the classroom and saying, well, let's look at lyrics as poetry. And that's a part of it, but what I was coming from was, how do we flip that into coming at education as hip hop, being all of the elements of hip hop, but really being a philosophy, right? So hip hop is a way of living, it is a culture, it is a framework for passing on intergenerational knowledge, and one that's highly adaptive, right? And resilient over generations that span back before we get so as a scholar, like studying hip hop, tracing it back, to its roots, but then through the iterations and reformations that are sprouting up all around the world right now, right? Because it's in the DNA of how do we tell stories and share wisdom when domination of mainstream knowledge, right? Or mainstream, white stream, like knowledge, it overrules all that, so where does it exist?
Let's say rich stream. Because it's the people who own the economy. Yes, they are white, but like, those are the people that control the media, the schools, the prisons.
Right. That's right, man. Yeah.
It's the rich white men.
That's right, man.
There's like 10 of them.
Well, and primarily, my assertion is that schools are a structure of maintaining that. That's one of their, like, education as a weapon. So how do we dismantle and rearm that weapon in different ways? And so what I teach hip hop pedagogies and that, and what I say is, who are our teachers and who do we learn from and how, not what is. So in critical pedagogy, right, we talk about being ontologically comfortable, like recognizing one's being. Like, your students come to you and you show the love, which is a part of a hip hop framework. Like, it's not, you have to do this, you have to read, it's like, come in, be part of the community, you in. Once you in, you in. Right now, let's get to the messiness of it. Let's get raw and let's get gritty, and what does it mean to be together in this space? Who are our teachers and who are we learning from? Right, so we're ontologically comforting, but epistemologically unsettling. And that's what a hip hop education is about. It's saying, it's challenging what is in different ways and telling those stories of those life experiences. And so, one of the things I do besides organizing and getting teachers in classrooms and youth, right, involved in this, in the elements, is saying to teachers, like, look, y'all, like, when you teach, how are you incorporating all of those elements into the learning experience? It's the aesthetic of of the emceeing, the DJing, the breaking, the graffiti writing, the artistry, the beatboxing, and then the street knowledges, right? The living knowledges that come from the relationships with one another and of the land that we're on. So, you know, that's a big piece of it. Ontologically comforting and epistemologically unsettling. Hip hop in its DNA is a resistance wisdom, right? And it's a way of sort of sharing that back and forth. And so I'm always in academia then saying, how are, like you got the Tupac journal, how is Tupac really a critical ethnographer, right? Why would I mean, I get why we read to understand the master's tools, but why not read actually these rich, like texts that are the hip hop albums and the dance and the movement that span back thousands of years, right there, in the spirit of our ancestors' wisdoms, our moment right now and in the future.
Tupac.
And so that's kind of what we look at, what I do in my work. Yeah.
Cool. Tupac read Shakespeare. Just wanted to say that.
He's a real educated individual.
Yeah.
He went to
read
a
lot.
really nice school in New Jersey, and he received quite a good degree there.
Yeah.
You talking
it's
about Shakespeare? Oh,
Yeah.
is that, you said Shakespeare said that?
No, Tupac would read Shakespeare.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, you don't know Nasir Jones' historian, man. In his thing, like, his pop said to him, you know, get good at something that you love, and get out of school. And so, you know, public schools, you all listen to Kendrick Lamar. He's written a textbook. I mean, that his albums ought to be the social studies textbooks right now. Yeah. Right? I mean, it's the textbook of movement right now and should be taught as that. And, you know, when we read these texts that are shared, they're intergenerational and they're really resistance how-to guides. We gonna be all right.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
we all
Right.
You're right.
Yeah, he
Can you
has
feel me?
some. I like some of his shit, but
Man, listen to the movement in it, because
Yeah,
I feel you, like, I'm into some Young Thug stuff. I mean, I got different styles. I like trap music. I go back, I mean, because that's just, but when you listen to the teachings back out to the pieces, it's aesthetic of a how-to. That's what I'm always pulling in. Not just the lyrics, like bring them into class, the metaphor, the pass on, and how it's protected in a moment. I mean, in a moment where, like, if that was in a book, that book wouldn't be taught in a classroom, right? Instead, it's in a shared experience that youth can tap into, and coded into that script is the resistance, is the how to carry forward the resistance right now, right? And so that's a big piece of what I'm teaching teachers, is like, you don't have to be a hip hop artist per se to be influenced by hip hop and teaching to young people what this is. They have it in their DNA to connect to it, right? Especially for like many of our urban youth, disenfranchised populations experiencing exploitation, connecting to this, you know, the drum beat.
exploitation. I like that word.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of a piece of what I do, and when I teach that, I try to teach that in the elements. So it's weird, like, being on Skype, but I like that you kicked us off with some rhymes, man, spinning some bars, some beats, because that's how we have to flow and feel and open up and sort of get things moving to what is a hip hop, you know, what influence does hip hop have on education, and how do we make sure, like, most teachers will be like, oh, that's awesome, Johnny, give me some songs I can play for kids in my classroom. It's like, okay, that's part of it, like, I got that. But ask them to bring songs and then structure that whole space around that. Bring street knowledge to the forefront, that land knowledge to that space. You know, think of, like, teachers learn, we need to make sure kids read, they write, do all these pieces. Well, think about it. The MC, the DJ, the breaking, the graffiti writing, the beatboxing, the knowledge is the entrepreneurial, the fashion, all of the pieces that tie in to what it means to do that with both a political position and for empowerment, because that's what's woven into that DNA, and to do it by celebrating it, even when it's about the dark stuff, right? So what do we do in dark times? We sing about dark times, we dance about it, we break beats about it, right? We move and we celebrate one another in that, and then when we frame conflict, because right now, you know, in schools, it's all about, like, what about classroom management? What about insubordination?
Like conflict resolution. Or,
yeah, like resolution. It's like it woven into that, into a hip hop framework and experience, is how to handle conflict, because conflict is inevitable, right? And in fact, it's part of how we recognize difference, and we learn. We learn, recognize difference in our communities. And so for hip hop, we have a framework, the battle. The battle has a rich history that's been co-opted over the last 20 years, right? You all probably watch Beef and all that stuff, and you know the history of how it ramped up with the tradition, and it goes back to West Africa, right? And how we settle differences in a way that doesn't end in taking one another's lives, right? That doesn't get bound up in the patriarchy colonialistic battle,
So
that
how
turns
are you
in
gonna fix
how we
that?
match and how we dance and how we move and how we form and raise one another up by the spirit of that battle. So we teach that in the classroom. Now we're giving young people an outlet, right, to be able to resolve conflict without it co-opted into guns, like a guns movement or resistance. Simultaneously teaching them that that their backs are against the wall in terms of larger systemic violence. So, that's also giving them the experience to practice how to resist amongst one another in ways that doesn't take each other out, but then can form unity against the larger structures that are right now killing young sisters and brothers all over the place. And so, how do they unify with being able to hold each other up against that?
Alright, I'd like to say a couple things, I guess, because that got me thinking, and I just think that, yeah, teaching is a good way to get people to evolve, but we need to start teaching that capitalism is the reason for oppression, poverty, the reason why corporations own the government, own the politics, they own the system. So they have control over the food, over everything. Hegemonic control. And the only way we can fix all these problems, oppression, people killing each other, guns, is to socialize the economy. Like ants in a colony, as Dead Prez would say. You guys listen to Dead Prez?
Yeah, hell yeah. Dead Prez writes the script on this, man. They give the text on, and I'll put you on that a little bit, man. Capitalism is what it is. It's an economic form of exploitation, and we gotta toss it. But it extends beyond that. Capitalism is a mechanism of politically mobilizing supremacy and instilling it. It's definitely one step. But don't separate these things out, man. It's a sovereignty.
It's all interconnected.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know earlier you said,
we're not.
Said let's just call it the rich stream instead of the white stream. I understand the impulse to want to separate the two, but capitalism is deeply entrenched in racism. You can't divide the two. Capitalism is racism. That's what Malcolm X would say. That's what a lot of great teachers would say. They're one and the same. So we have to address the white supremacy that's inherent in it as well. We can't separate that from it.
Because what did capitalism come from? It came from a slave economy. It's it's one step better, at least, but it's still bad. Shit's fucking rough.
It's like having a bigger cage. That's all it is.
Yeah, basically.
It's still in a cage though. You ain't free. You just loose.
Life on the block is like a fucking
Yeah.
cage.
And think about it, you had that class on punk rock and hip hop, and these are two artist scholarly genres that are highlighting a key piece in this is the authoritarianism. The whole model, right, of the game being framed that one must oppress the other. There has to be an oppressor, and we have to buck that, right? That's what we're trying to buck with hip hop in itself, its traditions. It's not top-down hierarchical. It's horizontal, right? And there's moments where the battle, you rise to a top, but not a pyramid sort of Marxist top. It's organic. It flows. It's wavy. It's wavy. It's wavy. Yeah. You gotta ride the waves.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting how you brought up slavery, because right now I'm in a sociology of sport, and we're talking about the NCAA and how they are essentially just doing indentured servitude, and how they're making billions of dollars off of students, and they don't pay them a penny. They can't.
Honestly,
They put it in the rules, and it's all just about capitalism, because they hold them to this esteem: we're going to give you a scholarship, and we won't give you anything more. And the kids are starving. They have to call their coach and like, we don't have any food in the fridge. We're hungry. Cafeteria doesn't open until 7 in the morning. We're gonna do something stupid. The coach comes over, breaks the NCAA double rules just by giving them a couple of tacos or pizza or some shit. And it's real interesting because that's just a modern version of slavery.
Yeah, it's just a new form. There are people being oppressed in Afghanistan, picking poppy so we can have working medical heroin, basically. There are people in Africa picking the cocoa, they're getting paid nothing. There are people in prisons here getting paid nothing and working in factories.
Yeah. Yeah, the resistance should be situational, local, and in support of each other in living systems. I mean, that's the dead press right there. Each one teach one to just completely localize everything. Not in sort of that local sort of like the foodie thing, although that's kind of part of it, you know, the hipster movement kind of business, but real like resilience or like local autonomy where people say like, no, right? That's what we're seeing right now. I mean, the Black Lives Matter movement is pushing against the military occupation of communities of color. It is completely like a war on those communities. And for those communities to say that we are, it's the same thing as a sovereignty framework is probably one of the more powerful ways in North America right now to understand that it is not about like reconciling or coming up with a compromise. It is about occupation of a space that's militarized and is
For what?
It is predicated on killing.
For what reason?
Total liberation.
I
That's
would
why you
say
occupy, right?
You occupy to steal resources and to keep other countries down so your country can continue to stay on top, I guess. Even though people within that country are still getting shot, still getting oppressed.
So you guys are talking about communities completely taking over the militarization and becoming self-sufficient in their own right? I kind of stepped in on this conversation a little bit late, so I apologize. But that's what it sounds like to me, and I'm getting a little mix on
I
the
believe we don't
conversation right here.
We don't really like, I don't want a military. Like, why are we going to spend resources on things that kill each other?
Well, right, but that's what they're talking about, I think, is coming together as a community and being like, no, we're not having this.
Socialization,
We won't do this.
organization, unity, becoming...
Right? That's what y'all are
one.
talking about, like demilitarizing and building communities together in a local way so that we're taking care of each other instead of being taken care of by the police state as we're operating
That's right.
now. Is that right?
Yes.
But that can only happen
Okay.
through socialization of the economy. Because we
Well-
need to have jobs for everybody. There can't be people selling crack. And all the crack comes from here, from South America, and the CIA brings it all here for people to sell so they can go to jail. And it's just one vicious
Yeah.
cycle. But like, yeah, we need to have jobs for everyone. We need to have health care for everyone. Education should be free for everyone. That's what I believe. That's basically it.
Yeah. So we got spinning, and we went from like how hip hop education or hip hop itself can be is a mechanism or a political mobilization of resistance, and primarily I think commonalities among us is like, how does it engage youth in that process, and then we kind of got onto this, and now I'll just urge you that sometimes you gotta see, you know, think about the forest through the trees type metaphor. It's you can socialize things, and I'll kind of fall back to that. The sovereignty movement might be one of the longest standing on this continent right now. Resistance movements that is about complete decentralization, decisions being made by those directly impacted by the decision being made. You come up with all kinds of policies and laws and rules from a centralized location. With socialism is a centralized form of governance in most
It's an
modern
economic
enactments
system.
of it. we're saying like even that itself is very susceptible to authoritarianism, i.e. dictatorship. So, you know, that kind of, for me, that kind of lesson is to be learned in terms of, I really often advocating for self-reliance. So what our sister who stepped in the room said, she articulated it really well. You know, each one teach one towards a decentralized decision-making, localized process. It's messy, right? But that's kind of where the hip-hop ties in. Hip-hop is a political mobilization of how we share knowledge that goes back to our ancestors and then goes forward to our future generations on how to work through that messiness in a way that archives it, documents the struggle, but shares and teaches it amongst one another. So instead of doing stuff like restorative work, it's actually, you know, like decolonizing.
So can I ask a question about using hip hop as activism in a town like Durango? I don't know if either of y'all have ever been here, but it's we're looking at like 16,000 people. We have a couple different communities that are really, really segregated. We have a Native population, we have a Hispanic population, and we have a very large, wealthy white population, generally older, middle class, white people, lots from Texas, that kind of thing. So how do you, and have you ever seen hip hop activism kind of infiltrate a community like this? Like, is that possible, do you think?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Good.
How do you go about doing that?
Yeah, it's about doing the work, and like, you know, you gotta give yourself permission to fail, to trial and error. But I think y'all are already doing it. Y'all started, plant the seed, just continue to cultivate it, continue to build relationships, build community. I think I can see it happening. You gotta stay motivated. Don't get discouraged. You know, maybe the numbers aren't what you want them to be right now, but
Keep your head
keep
up.
doing the work.
I've been an activist for a lot of years. I know all about the numbers.
Right.
And y'all are doing it because the hip hop, right, is all the elements, and it's encouraging people to think and experience and share together, and what those elements open up as possibility. When we get together, and we were saying before, we get together and we sing, dance, play, and make art that is political, right? There's Godspeed You Black Emperor, not a hip hop band, right? But a group of musicians in Montreal were asked about their music being political, and they had a great response. They said, all music is political. Some is for the kings and the queens, and some is for the serfs on the other side of the wall. We play music for the serfs on the other side of the wall, and I think that's an inseparable aspect of hip hop. Isn't necessarily, we talk about to focus only on the product of the music that comes out of it, but the process. What it does when we open ourselves up to the practices that are embedded into hip-hop framework, right? It can be in a multitude of different things that we share, but as long as the fabric of that is around those aesthetics, right? Those ways that we bring our diverse interests and passions to a message or to something political of that, right? So that's kind of when you look at the emergence of hip-hop. Yes, it's in the DNA of the communities, right? That's like an interesting thing that I mean, I really go hard on science a lot of times, quote unquote science, but we're learning right now these DNA projects, right? There's an actual understanding of these dances and movements that are intimately woven into our ancestral DNA. And so the emergence of that in particular communities around the world, it's there in Durango, right? I mean, it might not be the capitalist enclosure of rap right now, but it's there, right? There's the dance, the music, the art, all of those aspects, all of the elements that hip hop is helping to right now in this moment kind of be what it is, right? It exists, and it's tapping into those. You're an activist. It no matter what community you're in, it's celebrating those things and sort of sparking that fire to bring it alive and bring people together in a way that engages. We were talking before. It's ontologically comforting, but it's epistemologically unsettling, right? It brings us together and says, yo, we all together. Here we are in this space, the good, the bad, the ugly, the rich, the poor, the multiple different shades of our skin. We're here, but that doesn't mean that we don't have some critical work to do together to address oppression and came in and said total liberation, right? If that's our goal, then how do we get together and do that, not inside just in our state, not just inside classrooms and from books. That sort of puts it in one place in our head, and it's in our bodies, right, being together.
Total liberation is such a scary thing to tell people.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
to those who are oppressing, though, right?
Right.
Even the oppressors are oppressed. I mean, that's my
Yes.
logic point. The oppressors are wounded too. They got a lot of hate. They got a lot of fear. That's what they're acting out of. But total liberation means like even them awakening to their humanity and humanity of others. So when one is bound, none are free. So we
That's
gotta,
right.
We gotta get free. That means everybody. So.
Yeah, I don't blame like the poor dude who had to join the military because he's been indoctrinated to believe that that's okay and that will get him money. Or the person that's like, oh, I'm gonna be a police officer because it's a job. I blame the system for making those things jobs.
So what are you gonna do?
I'm gonna speak out. I'm gonna encourage people to like gain knowledge and fight against injustice. Be active in your communities. Be friendly. Show love. Tell people they're beautiful. Don't be like, oh no. Don't rap like Little Yachty. Freaking have a message. Where did the poetry go? That's all I'm saying.
How did you all start? You guys, how did you start with hip hop and activism?
Yeah. I really wanna. Yeah.
You just did it.
I mean, it's always kind of been like I didn't realize I was doing it until like I was doing it. So, but I've always been really passionate just about like I mean, I'm grateful for my family. They've been really loving, really empathetic, instilled all those type of values in me as a child. So I always cared about people. I always wanted to take care of my community, and I found ways to do that through my art. I gravitated towards art in particular. Poetry and hip hop, because that's what my older sibling was listening to, and I got into it in that way, and then just connecting the dots. Like, okay, this is I'm good at writing, I'm good at performing, and let me use this as a tool. Like there's many tools in the toolkit, right? Right, we all have different tools, and just using that tool as a way to take care of myself and take care of my community. That's really what I see it as when I zeroed it in. So, yeah, still doing that to this day. Ever since I was a little shorty.
That's right. Yeah. Mine's real simple. I was born in Detroit and then became a teacher there. And most of what hip hop education was, as I said earlier, it was, primarily Western thought, saying, let's take some Mos Def into the classroom and look at the lyrics. And I love some Mos Def. I mean,
It's my favorite rapper, man.
Yo, let me say one thing.
Hey,
Let me say one
open the
thing.
cracks.
At least your teacher said most deaf. Like, what?
Oh, my teacher.
Dude,
My teacher did. I'm
they
just
never
saying,
taught
hip-hop
me about
pedagogy
any
was dominated.
rappers ever. They never even talked
It was
about
dominated
poetry.
for that. And I was lucky. I mean, like Detroit was my home, so it was like activism and artistry together. And then when realizing like whether we called it hip hop or whether it was the MC and the DJ and the dance and the pieces, as they were giving us a language to express and not control what comes from that. So engaging youth in that. And then I was just lucky enough to have Talib Kweli come into my life as a teacher. And Brother Talib laid it down for my students and me as a student of hip hop, saying if you really want to teach your hip hop framework, like as an educator, it's not this. Like in my classroom, saying look, I'm just gonna say it like it is. It's not this. It's not in here. It's in the relationships, in the sharing of the wisdoms, and opening that up through these aesthetics. And so that's what for me began my teaching through a hip hop framework, and then it just sort of spiraled from there, the different ways.
Yeah, I think it's really key to look at the relationships. Like that's kind of what I was trying to get at, is like the relationships. It's always been what sustained me and propelled me to continue to work. It's like my family was in it, and you know my community's in it. So we gotta stay connected. We can love and support each other. And that's activism to me.
Yes.
Loving and supporting each other.
That's right. It goes back generations, so it's engaging in relational work that doesn't just focus on the now or the bullshit we always tell kids. Hey, you're doing this for the future. It's like we're doing it for our ancestors and for our future generations and for now. It's all three of those simultaneously. It's not linear.
That's good. Yeah. Right. I see new people up there.
Hey, how's it going? Hey,
Chris.
good afternoon, yes.
We got lots of extra people in here.
Thank you for all the stuff that you all are doing in Durango and for all of the work beyond Durango that you're all part of. And for the love you show to all the movements.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Where are you guys from? Where are you from?
I'm in North Minneapolis right now.
Oh yeah? How do you like it?
Yeah. I love it out here.
Yeah, very nice, very
My
nice.
favorite places, yeah.
There you go. Why not? Living life.
Yeah.
How about
You
you?
said you're Spokane.
Yeah, I'm in Spokane, Washington.
Really? How's the weather?
Yeah.
Is it nice?
It's chilly.
Yeah?
It's-
Very nice, very nice. Okay.
yeah.
So both of you guys live in areas that abut large centers of native populations. Do you guys interact much? Do you guys do a lot of work out there? I don't know if you guys have already talked about this, but I'm curious because Spokane, right there, up there in the Pacific Northwest, with all the tribes over there,
Yeah.
and Minneapolis. So, what kind of work do you guys do, or do you see that population come out to your shows and the activism that you get involved with as far as natives?
Yeah. I've seen some of the work of I Don't Know More here.
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of the extent of what I've seen. Some protests from them, and then I have family in North Dakota. Actually, I was just in North Dakota yesterday. As a matter of fact, I was just driving back. I was there for a couple days teaching at a writing festival, and a lot of us were talking about the pipeline, and so that's blowing my mind right now. I'm like, I didn't get a chance to go out there. I was there just for the writing festival. I really wanted to stop by the protest, the encampment. But there was a lot of conversation around that, and I love that this is the biggest like Native American like resistance in the history of our country, and that's like overwhelmingly beautiful. I think it's amazing to see that. I think we're in a special time in history right now. Not just because of that, but people are standing up all over the world right now. There's something not telling you on the news. People like in India are causing a revolution right now. There's people all over the world who are doing this. There's like something in the air, something in there. Like I just get this sense that for whatever reason, like now is like it's an amazing time to be alive.
Yeah, I'm new to the Pacific Northwest. I moved here from Detroit. But yes, at least in Spokane and I'd say in Washington in general, I think one of our largest strengths and allies and the process of the work that we're doing is it has to, I was saying before, it has to be grounded in of sovereignty. And so the leaders in the sovereignty movement are First Nations people. I mean, so to not address colonialism and, is a form of settler colonialism. It's a form of like modern activism that's rooted in Western oppression. And so our leaders, our elders, our teachers' place, and I'm new to the place, so it's easier for me to be a guest and a student of that. But even in Detroit, we were new to that place by a group of people who migrated and settled on some group of people's land, and so the relationships they have as elders and leaders, right, of that. And so yes, it is, to me, like hip hop is part of a resistance wisdom that spans generations, but that local connection to land that is part of that wisdom is inextricable from Native peoples around the world, right? But especially in North America, where the tendency is to say, let's fix the problem by changing the government. That's why I turned back to like a sovereignty movement. Let's not fix the problem. Let's just let's just be still and let our leaders, who are the original peoples of this place, sort of guide us and have that sort of autonomy. So yeah, Beat Nation here. We have Beat Nation. I think that's across the country and all the way up into Canada. But Beat Nation is a hip hop collective of indigenous hip hop artists, and I mean they come down and we do some shows with the youth and things because it's not a mechanism of one group of people, right? So it's bringing folks together. It's that relationship building that is politically, motivated.
Yeah. What kind of stuff y'all doing out there? I mean, I know we heard from our other two friends earlier, but some of the new people who walked in, what kind of activism are you engaged in right now?
So I don't know if you guys can see me. Hi. I'm Sumita Mishra, and I work as an attorney in a legal aid program on the Navajo Nation. So I used to be working mostly with victims of domestic violence, sexual violence, and elder abuse, and I've now transitioned to working mostly on consumer law issues for the vulnerable Native populations and them being taken advantage of in border towns, as far as things like getting cars, things like getting loans, getting benefits, all that kind of stuff. So that's what I do. That's the activism that I'm engaged in.
Right.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Hope you can see me.
I can see you back there.
Okay, I'm Giovanna Miller. I come from the Navajo Nation. I'm from the Navajo Nation has 4 agencies, so I come from the Eastern Navajo Agency, part of it. I'm standing about New Mexico, and I'm a major, a BA degree in Human Services, Sociology. So currently, I live in a shelter with my daughter, and that's where I'm doing most of my sociology experiences and writing about what goes on there and the difference between people and how people live, the resources that people go to get themselves off their feet, and then transition from living in your parents' home or living from the streets into a shelter home. And I think some places the shelter homes are really like a secret, so you can't really tell much about people, but you can show them, direct them there and then direct them to the resources that they need. Especially for single parents, those ones are really needed. And since I'm part of the sociology department and I work in human services, might as well, live the experience to know what's going on. That's my part, and that's the kind of activism that I do for single families and for mothers and for Native Americans and whoever needs help.
Yeah.
That's all me
Thank
right
you.
there.
Yeah.
Oh, and then also I'm part of the Dakota Pipeline. We'll be having a rally tomorrow here at the Ringo.
Good.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Am I up?
Yes.
Hi, Dr. Mark. Nice. How are you? I'm a clinical psychologist for IHS Indian Health Services in the Winter Rock Fort Defiance area, and I come with my colleagues and we have fun and learning lots. Yes.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
How did
Yeah.
you guys find out about the conference? I'm just kind of curious.
Oh,
The
man right here.
Our resident Fort Lewis.
Oh, very cool.
yeah.
He interned for my agency, and he's worked with them before, so.
Sweet, spreading the word.
Yeah. Activism always.
Yeah. We were just talking earlier about planting the seed and kind of helping it grow and stuff like that, so very cool to see how that's sprouting.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
What?
To introduce my activist work.
And yourself.
none, that's fine.
Oh,